Hello and welcome to review number 2. This time I am reviewing one of my favourite characters, earthrise Cliffjumper, as well as Generation Select Hubcap. The original Cliffjumper toy was released in 1984 and as a result was a prominent character in the original G1 cartoon, and he was not, I repeat, not a repaint of Bumblebee, just a remould. B was the VW Beetle, and according to the wiki, Cliff was a Porsche 924. However, due to the red colour, it was likely that he could have been a Porsche 944, as red was a very popular colour of that model of car. However, there was the yellow version of Cliffjumper with minor retooling, that being Hubcap. He was released in 1986 as a mail-away toy. Both figures come with 6 accessories. The back of the car, 2 guns, one with a port and one with a peg, 2 magazines that can be used as a bipod as well, and this thing. The back of the car goes, well, on the back of the car. There are 3 different ways you can store the rest of the accessories. You can just plug everything on top, but that looks dumb. Option 2, you can use it as skis by plugging everything into the bottom. Lastly, you can lift the back up to give a slightly transformed look and a small amount of articulation. Ratchet? Yeah, it happened again. In bot mode, you can keep it as one big gun, or split it into 2 smaller ones. These 2 can package in robot mode, so that's where we'll start. Apart from the head sculpt, they have exactly the same moulding. Not that it's an issue, because they are beautifully detailed. Every inch that isn't visible in vehicle mode has some sort of line work. If you remove the backpack, you can see a ton of detail that wasn't necessary. The inside of the legs and arms are hollow, but due to their small size, it really isn't that bad. Speaking of size, these 2 are about 10 cm tall. They are legend-sized figures in a deluxe price range. But as a result, they have the articulation of a deluxe, and let's look at Impactor quickly, one of the biggest deluxes in the Siege line, and look at that hollow. Basically, you get what you pay for. And these may be small, but darn they're good. However, due to their small size, they don't have many weapon ports, only having 9. Moving on to differences. Of course, we have head sculpts. They are both done very nicely, with Cliffjumper's head cast in red plastic, painted silver, with blue moulded eyes, whereas Hubcap's head is cast in yellow, painted orange, and with moulded eyes. Hubcap is also a rare red-eyed Autobot. You don't see many of them about. All the other paint is identical, with silver swapped out for grey on Hubcap and of course red and yellow. The shoulders are painted, but rubs off easily during transformation. Other than that, you don't need to worry too much about paint chipping. One last difference is the placement of their insignia. Cliffjumper didn't have one in robot mode, so I gave him one on his shoulder. Hubcap did have one on his foot, but I replaced it with a Wrecker insignia, as he was a member of the group at one point. Link in the description if you want to pick up a set for yourself. Shoulders have outward movement and a 360-degree swivel, 360-degree arms and wrist with a 90-degree elbow. Head can look up and rotate, but not all the way due to the collar. 360-degree waist swivel. Thigh swivel, legs can move straight forward and straight back, straight out to the side with 90-degree knees and over 90-degree ankles. This allows for many posing opportunities. In vehicle mode, these 2 seem to be a mix between their original Porsche Alt mode and a Mitsubishi Sterion, the only differences between them being colour. Of course, Hubcap is yellow, Cliffjumper is red, but Hubcap also has black transparent windows instead of blue, making it an overall more coherent look. Oh, and Cliff gets an insignia now. Wheel spin. Overall, these are great figures. Nicely detailed with nice paint, although Hubcap's finish is much glossier than Cliffjumper's. I believe they scale quite well with the rest of the figures in the War for Cybertron line, and they even fit inside Prime's trailer. My only complaint being that there's no chest insignia and, of course, the parts forming. I give them a 9 out of 10. Here we have Rung, a Battle Master and a rather important character in the old IDW universe, but I won't spoil that for you. 2 blast effects that can be used with him or any 5mm port or 3mm peg. Rung is a little orange guy standing at 5.5 centimeters tall, just over half a Cliffjumper in height, and is completely moulded in orange plastic. All the colour is painted on this guy, which is a lot for such a small figure. 360 shoulder joint and can move outwards. Legs can move forward and to the side and back if you move the backpack. And a waist swivel. As with most Battle Masters, Rung transforms into a gun and can be used by any figure with a 5mm port. However, if said figure holds them in their hand, then they lose use of their elbow due to the length of the gun. It's a gun! Rung is a nice little guy. He can be used as an extra weapon for those who don't come with one, and the blast effects are really helpful in bringing a display to life, and they're also useful in stop motion. I give him a 10 out of 10. He's everything I could want out of a figure this size.